acknowledgement?
Yes.
He's not using gang colloquially. The evidence will show he's telling you they are a gang.
Hey man, what you gotta tell these people? Back.
Believe me when I tell you that the OTF case is a total mess. Remember when 3 murders were suddenly pinned on King Von 2 years after he died? Well, it turns out that someone was feeding the feds some super accurate information, and if there's one person who knew about these murders it was Dirkio. Now it turns out that the feds were listening in on Dirk's conversations and he might have spilled all the beans. Damn, y'all ain't ready for what Dirkio admitted on tape about V. Little Dirk caught on tape telling on King V. The OTF saga keeps getting crazy by the day because now it's been confirmed that someone in Duro's camp was actually feeding the feds information. But was he wearing a wire? Well, based on what the feds have about V and the murders he committed, it seems that Dirk was caught in 4K spilling the beans to his crew about King Von's work in the streets. The dude being accused of ratting out Dirk and OTF affiliates is called OTF Jam. King Yella, a Chicago rapper who reps the gangster disciples, took to social media to reveal that word on the street and among OTF affiliates was that Jam had long been accused of working with the feds. But I heard somebody named OTF Jim, they said they've been calling him a rat, and basically he said okay, I'm a rat. Well, watch this. Since Yella is a GD and OTF are affiliated with the BDS, everyone thought he was trolling. That's until people noticed that no one in OTF was coming to his rescue. In fact, he had to hop onto social media to try to clear his name. According to him, his name wasn't on any paperwork, so everyone should stop accusing him of snitching. KCJ Hester aka OTF Jam is my artist's real name until you see that name on the paperwork. Don't at me. He posted OTF Jam went a step further and accused Dirkio of snitching on him. He first revealed that Dirkio snitched on him on a track calling me a rat or a snitch, but rapping snitch on themselves all the time. He posted Jam was talking about the track Back Again where Dirk raps Jam get out that Jam I give him 50 ain't got to ask again. He was catching murders way back then. That's when the max was in. Jam actually confirmed that Dirk had given him 50K when he got out of jail. Said gave you 50, can you tell us how much he gave you? Or you don't want to even, we ain't got to get that, but bro made sure he made a way for me to be straight now. According to OTF Jam, after the feds saw this they were on him. 247 who snitched on who he snitched on me on a song Police all up on me. After that he catching murders, let's get him. Jam posted, and to keep it a buck, Jam hasn't really been mentioned in any of the indictments. What's even more interesting is that OTF affiliates went on social media to reveal more rats within their camp. A dude known as OTF Win took to his IG to accuse OTF affiliates of snitching, posting photos of dudes called Marlon Kirsch and Karen Holland. He even accused Marlon Kurz of wearing a wire. The wire accusations have been wild because if true, a lot of crimes in Chicago might be solved very soon, and it seems that Dirkio was caught on these tapes talking about King Von's past crimes. Now peep this, in August 2022 cops were able to pin 3 murders to King Von's name even though he had died 2 years earlier. Now here's the interesting part. A few months back in February 2022, Jam got out of prison after serving 12 years for attempted murder, and now the fans are connecting the dots. Dirk may have been telling these stories to his OTF affiliates, and the rat with a wire picked up all the intel and gave it to the feds. One of the murders that cops were able to connect to King Bob was the brutal death of one of Chicago's deadliest assassins, Kakura Barn alias Key. Rumor has it that she killed O.D. Perry, a legend in Chicago, and stole his gun. She then posted photos brandishing the weapon on social media. It wasn't long before the rumor was attached to Ki. She also took to social media to brag about her crime. On April 11, 2014, a hooded gunman shot Barnes in front of a home in the 6400 block of South 3rd. Key was hit 9 times in the mouth, neck and chest before running and collapsing on a neighbor's doorstep and passing out. She later succumbed to her injury in at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. She walked with her brother FBG Butter and a friend that day. All 3 sustained gunshot wounds, but it seemed as though Key was the intended target, as the other 2 survived. At first, King Von was arrested in connection with the shooting after eyewitnesses identified him. However, the police could not meet the burden of proof in court, so the charges were rejected because of the lack of solid evidence to convict him. And in 2022, after King Bob died in a tragic shooting in Atlanta, cops finally linked V to Key's murder. According to police reports, the shooter wore a gray hoodie and blue jeans. He approached the 3 victims, produced a handgun, and began firing in the direction of the victims, striking all 3. He was then observed entering a vehicle and fleeing the scene. Even Jade Hood, a former Roblox member and close friend to Vaughn, confirmed this. According to him, V walked up to him and gave him the shocking news, and then V walked up to me and I shook his hand. He looked straight, and then I looked straight, and I'm why you telling me to look straight? He look straight, and what I'm going to say to you, don't look at me, I tell you. According to Jade Hood, Vaughn told him that he had shot 3 people and that Key was the last one of the 3 he had shot and killed. We am looking straight. He man, why I just run up on Key and he know why I just ran up on them, ___. And caught key, she was the last one running out of the gate. The other murder that was linked to V's name was Mel McCambry. In October 2012, 17-year-old Mel was shot and killed in the 6300 block of South Rhodes Avenue that day. Mel and his 18-year-old cousin, who was identified as Miles Turner, were on their way to meet a girl in the West Woodall neighborhood on the south side when someone walked up and opened fire just before 9:30 p.m. According to reports, Miles bent over to embrace Modell, who was bleeding out from the gunshot wounds on his chest. However, the shooter, who the cops now believe was King Bob, showed no remorse. He stood over the two and shot Miles multiple times on his back. Mel was taken to Stroger Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries, while Miles was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital with multiple gunshot wounds and remained in a medically induced coma for weeks. Luckily, he survived the ordeal. The third murder that Vaughn was linked to is that of Chicago rapper Mark Campbell, alias Lil Mark. In the days leading up to the release of his music video No Competition, a disc aimed at the rival gang OTF, just a day after dropping the video on March 26, 2014, Lil Mark had a close encounter with death. He was caught by rival gang members and was allegedly shot at, but managed to escape unharmed. However, he wouldn't be so lucky. 2 days later, March 28, 2414, started like any other day for Lil Mark. The young rapper was standing near a bus stop on 5100 S. King Drive in the Washington Park neighborhood of Chicago. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the city, when a silver minivan approached. Inside the vehicle, the shooter, armed with a handgun equipped with an extended clip, unleashed a barrage of bullets. At least 12 shots rang out, 2 of which struck Lil Mark in the head. After a brief pause, the shooter fired 2 more shots before speeding away in the minivan. Lil Mark was pronounced dead at the scene, his dreams and potential extinguished in an instant. The silver minivan used in the murder was discovered in flames on 3700 South Ellis Avenue just 5 hours after the shooting. The burning vehicle was a clear attempt to destroy evidence and hinder the investigation. According to word on the street, D. Rose and Twilla were at the heart of the hit. However, cops now believe that King Bob pulled the trigger. There's wide speculation that Dirk was innocently telling his OTF boys about Vaughn's past, and the rats passed the intel to the feds, but he might have said a little too much, including the crimes that he and V were both involved in. Lil Durk and King Von Crim Spree. Durkio and V were menaces in the streets, and they got into serious trouble multiple times. One time they faced a charge that would have seen them in jail for years and destroyed their rap careers in the process. This was the attempted murder of their rival Alexander Weatherspoon on February 4, 2019 at around 5:45 a.m. On February 5, 2019, shots rang out at the parking lot of a popular restaurant located in Midtown Atlanta. A 23-year-old man stumbled from across the parking lot and collapsed in front of the One Cigar Lounge as an SUV sped out of the parking lot where the shots had been fired. Terrified customers swiftly called 911 and he was taken to the hospital. Luckily, he survived. Witnesses told the authorities that an SUV with 300 plastered on the side was seen speeding away from the scene after the shots were fired. Turns out Dirk had an SUV with a similar description. Despite this clue, no one was arrested for months. However, 3 months later, cops had a breakthrough. On May 4, 2019, Vaughn would be the first suspect arrested in connection with the shooting. Bizu, a gang member affiliated with Trigger Happy Family THF, was also arrested 9 days later. Finally, the Atlanta police issued an arrest warrant on May 29, 2019 for the final suspect in the shooting incident. Lil Durk, the Chicago rapper, was hit with 5 felony charges. These included criminal attempt to commit murder, aggravated assault, unlawful association with criminal street gang to conduct or participate in crime, possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. At the time Durkio was touring, however, the rapper canceled his tour and went straight to Atlanta. He immediately dropped a record title, Turn Myself, and the next day the